Okay, we're rolling.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. I hope you're doing well. It's great to have time with you again. Thanks for pressing play. I really appreciate you being here. If you're a first-timer, welcome to the show. My name is Dave. I live in Ontario, Canada. I host 9 different podcasts. This is the How to Podcast series where I teach podcasting and I help podcasters like you, whether you have 571 episodes, like this show, or you're just starting, like you're brand new, baby podcaster. You're in the right spot. So thanks for pressing play. It's great to have time with you. Okay, so we're talking about your pitch, your pace, and your pauses. Why vocal cues are your body language on the mic as a podcaster. And when we talk about communication and getting a message across to people, we have the words that come out of our mouth. Well, first they start as our thoughts, to our words that come out of our mouth and how they're received by the person listening to us. On a microphone with no visuals, no video, just audio, we have a disadvantage because we don't have any body language reference points. We don't know. And we can't display what we're doing, so we got to use our voice. So our voice has to overcompensate for the lack of our body language. You know body language. That's when you're talking to your significant other. He or she rolls their eyes when you say something. Now, they didn't say anything audibly. They didn't speak a single word, but you can tell they're like, ugh, right? That's usually what happens when I talk to my wife about podcasting. She's like, ugh, right? And without even saying a word, she could just look at me and be like, really? And I know, conversation over. She's not an active podcaster, and that's not what she wants to talk about. So I could tell quickly. I could tell if things are good. I could tell if things are bad. Not a single word has to be spoken. It's body language. It's so ingrained in what we do. When we use our hands, when we get expressive and in real life, you can tell when somebody's passionate. Go watch a sports game, whatever, football, baseball, hockey, whatever it is, soccer, football for our UK friends. Whatever you're watching, you can see people being very expressive, not always saying words, but screaming and yelling and jumping up and down when their team does something amazing or not so amazing. It's all body language. And as a podcaster in an audio format, we don't have the option of body language. So how do we compensate in an audio format? Do a video podcast, you do have the benefit of being able to be on camera. But just remember, even though you're on camera doesn't mean your audience is watching. They could have a video on in the background while they're doing something else. They're not even watching your video. So when you get all excited about video podcasting, just remember that not everyone all the time is watching your show. We have these things called phones, and we're always scrolling TikTok and watching cat videos and all this other stuff. While the movie is on, while the show is on, while your podcast is on, we're overcompensating with other devices, just so you have it in mind. So this impacts everybody, whether you're a video podcaster or an audio podcaster or both. We need to use our voice, and we need to use it well. There's podcasts that I listen to, and this episode is designed for them because they don't have any other gear when they get on as a podcaster, and it's not as engaging. So I'm trying to help you and help you be better on the mic. So let's get into this. As an audio podcaster, primarily this show and my other shows that I do are primarily audio. I do video here and there. When your audience hears only your voice, how much of your intended message actually lands with them when all you have is your voice? A transcript might capture the words that you said on your show, but there's no tone in the words that you said. It's just a word-by-word account of the things that came out of your mouth. There's no energy scale that goes along with a transcription. There's no vocal cues, or something vital can get lost in translation when you just look at a bunch of words. For podcast creators, mastering audio nonverbal communication becomes essential to making your podcast reach people in a better way and helps people to connect with you and do the next logical step. So we need to really lean into how we compensate for a lack of body language in an audio first format. It's something to consider. When the major tool that you have is your voice, it carries double, triple the weight because it has to compensate for all the things that we don't have and that's our advantage in being a visual format. As an audio format, you have to really lean on your voice. So being boring on the mic, not having any inflection, not having any connection and warmth in what you do will not bring people back for the next episode. Listeners will judge your confidence, your warmth, and your passion purely from how your voice moves. And this is where the pitch, pause, and pace comes into play. It helps with your emphasis on how you do what you do. When we have a flat delivery on the mic as a podcaster, it makes brilliant content feel dull. It makes people disconnect as they listen. Their mind starts to wander when your voice is really boring. When there's nothing, there's no sing-song to your voice. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just monotone. It's very dry. It's very mechanical. It might be perfect. It might be too perfect. And it's like, was this an AI podcast or is this an actual human being? If I poke you in the arm, is it going to hurt? Are you real? When people show up on the mic and they are boring with their voice, it really has an impact on your audience. We need variety in our voice. That makes average ideas memorable. When we show up with a great pace to our voice, we use pitch, we go up, we go down. We have a lot of different variety to our voice, and we use pauses. When we use pauses like I just did, it makes people go, wait, what happened there? What? Like they look at their phone, they're looking around like that was awkward, but I got your attention. We need to use pitch, pace, and pauses in our podcast. So why vocal cues are your body language, the visual, when you're on the mic? Podcasters lose facial expressions, gestures, and posture, but listeners still read you through the sound of your voice alone. Research from body language experts shows that nonverbal signals dominate first impressions and trust building. Your audio equivalents, smiling, I'm smiling right now, smiling through your voice, varying your pacing, strategic pauses, create the trust that you can't do when there's no visual. A smiling voice. Listeners sense genuine warmth when your tone lifts naturally, even without seeing your face. In the recording studio, I'm a musician. We would tell our singer, great, that was a great take. Now do it again, this time smile. And it's this weird feedback from the sound booth, from the vocal booth going, what do you mean smile? Well, we can hear your smile on the mic. So do it again and smile. It comes through the microphone. In music, right? You have an emotional connection with the singer, the band, the song. Why? In music, unless there's a music video, and we know what happened to MTV, it's gone, but Spotify has music videos, by the way. In music videos, you see them recreate the recording, but the recording is basically done with no cameras for the most part, especially the older songs from a long time ago. There was no cameras in the studio, so there's no way to capture what was happening in the moment. All you have is what you can hear. Radio shows from a long time ago, way back in the day, it was all audio. Family gathered around this big radio because there was no TVs, and you listened to an audio drama. You listened to a story. And it was all based on what you heard. It set the scene. So your voice has the power to compensate for the lack of visuals. And even if you have a video podcast, you need to lean into your voice as the foundation for your video podcast. Because again, not everybody's watching your video podcast. I'm sorry to tell you this. It's not everybody is. And sometimes you're just background noise. So be expressive with your voice. Use your voice. Smile with your voice. The other part of this, and this is where I try to help podcasters, is to pretend and think of your mic as a camera. Would you talk differently if a camera was pointed at your face rather than simply a microphone? So I have it's just me right now, and I'm recording in Audacity, and I have my microphone in front of me, and I'm talking to nobody. I have my hands moving. I'm moving my hands up and down right now, back and forth. Don't hit your mic, by the way. That's bad. But use your gestures. Like, actually talk with your hands. If you're a hand talker, great. Use your hands. It helps you to enunciate. It helps you to have input, and it gives you beats. It gives you a sense of timing because your hands are something visual that you can see, I can see, but you can't. Use gestures to help you do better with how you emphasize what you're saying. Punch your keywords with slight volume shifts or pitch changes to mimic hand movements. Your voice and your hands are attached. So use your hands and use your gestures even though no one's going to see them. And then eye contact is translated into pacing. I can't see you and you can't see me as you're listening to this. But I take that concept of eye contact. If you and I were having coffee together at a coffee shop talking about podcasting, I could see your face. So I'd be looking at you in the eyes. I wouldn't be looking at the floor or the ceiling or somewhere else. I'd be looking at you because I'm talking to you. Because I can't see you now and you can't see me, I have to then take that practice of eye contact and focus it somewhere else. So I focus it on pacing. I focus on how I use my voice so that I can lead the conversation, create an atmosphere for you as a listener that we would have in real time without seeing each other face to face. So slow down for intimacy when you're talking, right? Speed up for excitement. When you're really excited, your voice can go up a little bit and you can go a little bit faster. And when you're really being contemplative and you're like, this is really, really tough to talk about right now, you can bring your voice right down in the speed and use some pauses to help people kind of go, oh, Dave is really, really serious right now. The rhythm of your voice signals engagement when you lose eye contact. Gesturing when you're speaking, and you'll see people do this from stage, clarifies thoughts, it tightens up delivery, and you can, as you watch people on stage, right, they're talking to a large group of people, they move around while they're talking, they address the audience, they use their hands. All of that is the same, even if you're recording a podcast by yourself on a microphone and there's nobody here. If you're sitting on your hands when you're recording, I think you could do better by simply being a little more animated on the mic. People will hear an animated voice, a smiling voice. It'll come through the microphone. So audio's impact here. What gets lost and what can you amplify when you lose that nonverbal communication? Without the visuals, ambiguity rises here. Sarcasm falls flat because there's no visual that goes along with it. Humor can get confused, and monotone teaching just bores the heck out of people. But audio strength is the intimacy. Listeners feel like you're speaking to them. I'm talking to you right now. I'm not talking to anybody else, just you. You press play. That's where audio thrives, is that intimacy. We need to focus on how we animate our voice for our audience. Not just reading to them. That's an audiobook. This is a podcast. There's a difference between a podcast and an audiobook. An audiobook, you got to read word for word. That's how the book is written. That's how it has to be read. That's different than a podcast. This is different from radio. Podcasts are unique. We as podcasters need to vary our pitch, rise for questions and drop for conclusions. Please, as podcasters, as vocal microphone talkers, I just made that up, I don't know. Don't end a statement as a question. It's the simple rise and fall of your voice. If it's a statement, end it as a statement. Don't end it as a question. So I could say, this is the How to Podcast series. Or I could say, this is the How to Podcast series. By going up, you're inferring or implying that you're not really sure if this is the How to Podcast series, because is this the podcast series? I don't know. And when you go down, your voice is more of a statement. This is the How to Podcast series. It's confident. It's understood that you know what you're saying. And when you go up, because it just seems to be your natural turn to your voice, it implies that you might not know what you're talking about. So vary your pitch. Rise for questions and drop for conclusions. Super important. Use your pauses like gestures. Silence before big points adds more weight. When you're going to say something that's really impactful, just wait a second. Because that little what is enough to make people sit up and pay attention. And let your emotion breathe. Real sighs, real laugh, a breath catches and builds authenticity. So when I hear podcast editors who want to edit out all of that humanity from a recording, what we're left with is a descript edited podcast where all of the silence is gone, every and ah is removed, and you sound like a robot. Humans talk like humans. And these tools strip all the humanity out of our conversation and make us sound non-human. And for me, a non-human podcast is also what I call AI. So the difference between us and an AI-generated podcast with AI voices is we're a human being. And we flub up. We make mistakes. We say the wrong word. We pronounce things incorrectly. We have an ums and ahs. We do these things because it's who we are. So if you're going to use those tools, don't let it strip everything out of this podcast. Use it sparingly. Some practical mic techniques to help you when dealing with nonverbal communication. A lot of people that I talk to like to stand when they record. So this could really help. Maybe this will give you a totally different sound to your voice and might help you be a little more animated. When you stand, your posture lifts and it also brings up your energy. Slouching kind of deadens your tone. So maybe standing might be the answer for you. Smile on cue. Like consciously grin during your intros. Let your voice transmit warmth. What's happening on your face is going to come through the mic, even though nobody can see it. So be more conscious of what your face is saying, right? You know, when you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, I'm fine. You're like, well, then tell your face. Like your face tells me you're having a horrible day, but come on, right? So as podcasters, as people on the mic, tell your face what you want your audience to hear and show up. Like, use your face, okay? It's attached to your head. Use your face. There you go. There's Dave's new shirt idea. And then gesture freely. Like I talked about, hand movements. They shape clearer, more declarative speech. It helps you to be a little bit more in the moment than sitting on your hands. Breathe for emphasis. Deeper inhales signal transitions. Micro pauses invite reflection. And test with transcripts. Read your script aloud. Does it land without visuals? Try that and see how that feels. Without seeing audience reactions, use your analytics, your comments, and drop-off rates for how long people listen to your episode as cues to how you're doing as a podcaster. High completion rates, great. Watch and learn from your audience. People tell me all the time, Dave, nobody gives me feedback on my show, and I feel like I'm not connecting. Well, I take them to Apple and I take them to Spotify and I show them episode by episode. Let's look at the last 5 episodes. And we go through and we look at retention rates. We go through and look at engagement. We look at reviews. We look at all these different touch points. And I show them, your audience has been talking to you this whole time. You're just not listening to them. And you don't know where to go to get the information. You don't need a survey. I have a survey right now on howtopodcast.ca and in the show notes if you're interested. Really don't need a survey if you know how to read your analytics. Your audience is giving you great feedback. When people drop off early in a teaching segment, that's a signal. You need to amp up your vocal variety on the mic and not just be one level, one speed, one tone, the entire podcast. You need to shake it up a bit. I listen to some podcasts about podcasting and people will call in and leave a response or something and then they'll talk about their show. And when they do, I listen to their voice and go, I don't know this show and I don't know this podcaster, but they sound boring. Like even when they talk about their show, there's no light. There's no excitement. It's like they're reading their homework from last night. It's like there's no passion in their voice. And I'm like, what? If you're not excited about your show, how the heck am I supposed to be excited enough to go find it? So I want you to listen to yourself and go, have I lost my passion? Have I lost my vocal variety? Am I just a one-trick pony as a podcaster? I think I need to get better at this. I don't want to be super judgmental, but I'm just saying, when I listen to a show and the host seems like they've checked out, how am I supposed to check in? Right? So in everything we do as a podcaster, just remember that your listeners, if you're only doing audio, won't see you, but they'll feel every bit of your passion through your voice. Think of your microphone as a camera. And if this was a camera and not just a microphone, and if there was somebody watching, would you talk differently? Would you show up differently if there was somebody here? If your tiny bedroom where you record, or I'm in a basement, was then put up onto a stage and there was 200 people sitting in the seats, would you just be monotone? Or would you be a little more animated? Would you be more excited? Would you show up? Would your voice get a little bit more passionate? Would you be like a little bit more engaging? Or would you just be monotone and talking about the news? And yeah, and this day, today, we talked about this and blah, blah, blah. Think about your environment. And maybe, you just need to think of your space a little differently. You're not alone. There is somebody going to hear this at some point. So talk to them and think of them. And one thing I've put in front of some podcasters that I've talked to is if they're really struggling, I'm like, do you have like one of those little mirrors, people use to put on their makeup or whatever? Then grab that and put that in front of your monitor and look at yourself and go, oh, don't be judgmental, but watch your face. Do you look happy? Do you look engaged or do you look bored? Because whatever your face is showing you in the mirror is what's coming through the microphone. So grab a mirror, throw it in front of your monitor, and talk to yourself. It's okay. Nobody's going to come and take you away. Talk to yourself and watch your face and see what your face is telling you. And just like your parents told you when you were little, if you're happy, then tell your face. And I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being here. Hey, thanks for being part of the podcast today. Just a reminder, on February 13th to February 14th, we're going to do something a little different on the How to Podcast series. We're going to go and do 24 episodes in 24 hours, a marathon, self-imposed. We're going to create an episode every hour on the hour and release it over a 24-hour period. We're going to go live. We're going to do some live streaming. We're going to be live on social media. We're going to be live on LinkedIn and YouTube and a bunch of different things. So if you want to come along for the journey, and I know I have a global audience, so this might really work well for you to come and be a part of it. And when you go to bed on the 13th and wake up on the 14th by around 10 a.m., 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you will have 24 episodes in 24 hours from the How to Podcast series. Why am I doing this? Because I don't hear anybody else doing this, and I'm up for a challenge. So it's leading into Valentine's Day. It's leading into falling in love with your podcast for the month of February, all that stuff. So if you're interested and you want to see what's going to happen, 24 episodes in 24 hours with your buddy here, Dave, let's see anybody else kind of do this. I challenge you or anyone else who thinks they can do this to take up the gauntlet. And let's see if you can do 24 episodes in 24 hours. I triple dog dare you. I'm going to do it. And it's all part of our 365 days of content in 2026. So yeah, this should be fun. So if you want to stick around, you want to check it out. February 13th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, all the way through until completing at 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, the 14th, leading right into our meetup. We'd love to have you come along. Come check out the craziness, February 13th and 14th. Love to see you there. Cheers. Okay, you're still here. Awesome. Thank you for sticking around. Again, most people don't know about this bonus content. It's episode 571. And I just want to jump in and talk about a question came to me was, Dave, I have a podcast. I've been doing it for a while, and I was approached by a network to come and join a network for podcasters. Should I do it? Well, there's a lot of advantages. There's a lot of things to consider as well. So keep this in mind. Advantages, you could be part of a big group. So maybe you have a business podcast and this is a network of business podcasts. Great. You're grouped together with a bunch of other podcasters in your same topic area. That could really benefit you because your listeners then have you and everybody else. Awesome. You're basically sharing an audience with the network. That's good. There's maybe an opportunity for the network to make money. So maybe they want to put ads in your show. Fine. Are you okay with ads? Are you okay with the type of ads? Then great. You can make some money from a network. That's awesome too. Some things to consider is if the network wants you to switch your hosting site. So say you're with Buzzsprout and they want you to move to Libsyn. And you're like, well, I don't want to move to Libsyn. Then maybe not. Don't go with that network. What they're probably trying to do is just group everybody together under one common analytics dashboard so that they understand what shows are doing what. So if they're asking you to switch to another hosting site and you don't want to, then you don't have to join a network. They might want you to use their editing team. You might want to edit your own show. So there's a problem. They might want to put other shows in your feed. So you're listening to the How to Podcast series and all of a sudden there's another show about something else. You're like, oh, what's going on here? So just keep that in mind. And then the other part, I would say the biggest part would be, do you own your own content? So if you decided to leave the network after a year or so and you're like, I'm going to move back, I'm going to do something else, are you allowed to take your content with you? Can you move your show out of the network with no penalty? Those are things to ask. I would suggest that if a network reaches out to you, find out who else is on the network and then talk to those podcasters one-on-one. Ask them, how has your podcast grown, improved? What's the ups for being in this network? And then use that as information. If it's a good network, the podcasters on the network are probably going to speak highly of the network. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the network. So definitely ask. But people will reach out to you. People have reached out to me. I've had people asking me to turn my podcast into a radio show. And no, I'm not interested in being on a radio show. So I'm a podcaster. I'm not a radio person. So yeah, so it's going to happen. People will reach out to you. If you're not sure and you're like, I got questions about this, I don't know who to ask, howtopodcast.ca. Happy to help. Happy to look it over with you. Make sure you read every part of the contract, whatever they're putting in front of you. I'm not a lawyer, so you might want to actually take the contract to a lawyer if you're a big podcast and this is a substantial move. I would highly recommend that. But yeah, networks are great. Depends on what you need and what you think a network's going to do for you. But yeah, it's good. It's encouraging that people are reaching out to you though. So yeah, but if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to help. Thanks for being here. Take care.